Story 1. I know someone who won a comfortable amount, but I'm not sure it was Euro Millions jackpot big. Big family and a few who would have been greedy if they knew the amount, and they were mature enough to realize money could upset their relationships. They traded up their house, still worked but part-time. I don't think many people were aware. They used the reason for the move that they had been saving for years to upgrade, hence always being short of money. I was one of those who knew they had won something but didn't really pry into the amount, probably why they shared it with me. I like that when they went on holiday, they let family know they were going to Spain but kept quiet about traveling first class and the class of hotel. Still really happy and seemed to have kept family from finding out and creating grief. Story 2. That I am gone. I live in a state where you cannot collect anonymously, so before claiming the winnings, I would have an exit plan and go live somewhere that nobody knows me. Though I am still working out how to let certain family members know without letting everyone I have ever known know by the end of the week. The gossip factor is pretty high in my family. Story 3. I know a couple who are multimillionaires. We are talking full-time family office staff that invests their portfolio. Their kids are out of college now. They fly first class to Europe, Bali, Japan, South Korea, Dubai, or Tahiti, spending a month there, living out of top suites in luxury hotels from one city to another, dining at Michelin-starred restaurants, getting private tours to museums and exhibits. They are just a couple who mostly grew up middle class, so they dress casually and look like a retired couple. Story 4. My family and friends would suddenly have fantastic luck. My sister would win one of two build your dream house lotteries. I would pay the company to do two and have her win one. My parents would be notified that my grandfather's estate had $50,000 set aside for all his great-grandchildren, which was only just found, and 20 years later, each is now worth about $100,000. A recall would be issued for a part of my best friend's car, and insurance would decide a new car would be better and cheaper. They would give her a lump sum check. My other friend would win a trip to see her favorite band, all expenses paid, in 3 different venues. A few organizations I know would stop having electrical and property tax bills. I would have a shell company buy a specific property to prevent development from happening to a 500-acre woodland. I would go to more away games, not mentioning how I got there, claiming a you only live once philosophy and credit card travel points. My wardrobe quality would go up, and although the style wouldn't change much, the fit would be vastly improved. That Pilates instructor whom I can never meet with would start doing house calls and decide to leave equipment in my spare room for convenience's sake. I have had this lottery list since I was in high school. Some of the details have changed, but not too many. Story 5. Buying another car. Getting a nice property in the neighborhood we love. Dressing better. Working part-time. Hiring someone to meal prep for us during the week. There was a post in the Financial Independence Retire Early subreddit a while back on inexpensive meal prepping. The couple would go to a culinary school and ask for their information to be given to someone at the top of their class for a sort of paid internship. They'd hire them for hourly work on a Sunday, 4 to 5 hours, to meal prep lunches for them for 4 days of the week. They got healthy, delicious meals, and the culinary student got a decent-paying part-time job and a post-school reference. I think they said they paid $25 to $30 an hour and would obviously buy all the ingredients. I thought that was really brilliant. We wouldn't do anything crazy or obvious that we fell into a lot of money. We definitely want to keep it as secret as possible. Story 6. If I won a lottery big enough that I would never have to work again, people would immediately notice that I never got a new job, but somehow I got a brand new car. Not like a Lamborghini or anything like that, but I would love to go car shopping and see how the new Jeep Wranglers are. Story 7. Lifestyle. The big change would be putting a lot more time into parenting. I'd switch from being a weekend dad to a full-time stay-at-home dad, but with a maid who leaves just enough undone so I can help the kids build better habits of cleaning up after themselves. Health. Dental implants and therapy. Consumerist/luxury. Smartwool or darn tough for every pair of socks and underwear. Dental implants. Fountain pens and commissioned art, including some instruments. I'd focus on art, cooking, working out, and gaming during the day. I'd probably volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club nearly every day. The teen room has a decent kitchen, and there are lots of food-insecure kids. Ramen and a piece of fruit do not make for good nutrition or good eating habits. Let's explore and not be hungry. Story 8. I would slowly start draping myself in velvet. First, some nice socks. Then, about a week later, I would buy some pants. Top of the line velvet pants. Then I would wait in case anyone noticed. So, a few weeks after that, I would get the robe. Then, if anyone laughed at my velvety attire, I would chuckle in their direction because I am rich. Story 9. My reservation on money. Normally, I'm not the one who cares much about earning money and buying stuff, but if I were to suddenly win the lottery and gain millions, you can bet that I would invest it. Story 10. My lawn would be mowed more often. Suddenly, they would see me using Morrison's shopping bags instead of Aldi's. My wheelchair would be a fully pimped out electric vehicle. I'd have a full head of hair. Not for vanity reasons, it's freaking cold here. Or I could just buy nicer hats. I'd be getting more taxis than usual. Visitors to my flat would be in awe of my 100 gigabits per second dedicated fiber internet and impressive personal computer. Friends and family would notice that I'd be able to attend more get-togethers. Story 11. They would probably start wondering how I could afford that old farmhouse with the massive acreage. Also, their bank might call them to inform them that their mortgages have been fully paid by an unknown third party. Story 12. Depends, how much am I winning? If it's 1 million, they probably wouldn't notice, to be honest. I would replace the car, pay off the mortgage, but nothing flashy. But if we're talking about Euro millions, story 13. My parents' monthly checkup from head to toe, them flying whenever they want to Australia and America just to see their family, having their 2-hectare garden and a modern bungalow house, my dad's dream motorcycle and my mom's own service, my pets having their own caretaker and room, and my brother doesn't have to be an overseas worker anymore. For me, I would start playing my guitar on the street of another country and maybe get my tonsils removed. Story 14. I would probably quit my job and get a new car and a new guitar. I would probably invest the rest of the money in a way that would allow me to live comfortably for the rest of my life, assuming I'm going to reach 110 years just to be safe. But I guess it really depends on how much money we are talking about. A few million would probably end up with the top scenario. But with a few hundred million, honestly, I would probably spend more. Story 15. Not my life. Well, maybe an updated sewing space. But suddenly everyone around me would start noticing money suspiciously appearing in their accounts. Since this is a fantasy, let's pretend this would be possible to do anonymously and without investigations being involved. Trust funds donated to their kids, inheritances suddenly discovered from dead distant relatives, loans paid off and forgiven. I would be that one person to share it all around, get excited with them, and act all surprised if they ever decided to share the news. This is something I fantasize about occasionally, so no wonder I've never won the lottery. The universe says, absolutely not. Story 16. My dream is to own some land with a nice house. Not too big, just big enough for our needs. I would love to have animals roaming the land, grow food, and just enjoy life. I would tell very few people about winning the lottery, but I would like to help family out a little and donate some to my favorite charities. Story 17. Nothing. I would eventually move elsewhere, claiming some chance at a property or so for a fair price and a new job. Golden rule of winning the lottery. Never tell anyone except your significant other, if you know they can keep their mouth shut, that you win. Never. It will make life painful otherwise. Story 18. My house is getting a little nicer, with a new driveway, a new garage door, and a leveled lawn. I have some new clothes and a much more carefree disposition. I am spending a lot more time with family and friends, going on vacation, going on dates, and spending much less time working. I am going to the gym more often and getting a lot of medical checkups and monthly dental visits. I am just taking much better care of myself, being happier, more outgoing, and spending less time on tedious things. Story 19. I would get my old car fixed up and drive around in that so nobody would suspect a thing. She took me a 5-year bank loan to pay off, so I do not think it is fair to consign the old car to the scrap heap. I love that car, we have been through too much together. Story 20. For one thing, I would no longer have a big old rust spot on the back door of the car. Maid service would be twice a month instead of once a year. I would be less concerned about my work hours being reduced with very little notice. Travel more. Story 21. A sudden lack of stress. Also, I would be way more excited when people suggest spontaneous activities instead of saying, I will have to think about that. Story 22. The cat would have her second surgery, and my bathroom would finally have a proper floor installed. My gums would be repaired. Also, I would probably be able to explain to people why I keep falling asleep everywhere and sleeping for 24 to 48 hours at a stretch with minimal to no wake time in between because of healthcare. Story 23. Moving to another region probably. Visiting countries abroad. More frivolous spending in restaurants. Already can do but will do even more. After some time of investing and securing a constant stream, probably taking taxis and first-class trains a lot. Story 24. There is a house on the river in my town that I've always said I would buy if I ever won the lottery. It's not for sale, but that's a problem for people who didn't win the lottery. Story 25. I would bless my 3 hardworking sons with wealth. I would remodel my simple old house and get my teeth fixed. Then I would look for others to help. To whom much is given, much is expected. Story 26. My clothes wouldn't be worn out and washed out. I could walk in the rain without wet feet. That would be amazing. I would treat those around me. My daughter would get some nice shelves so she can sort her drawings more easily, a carpet for her room, and a lampshade. I would buy good quality food and actually eat several times a day. They would see that I do, in fact, have hobbies and interests and that there is more to me than a dull person who never goes places or invests in something cool. They would see that I think of them when buying things, that I'm attentive to what they like, and that I'd spontaneously spend money on them like getting ice cream for everyone. I'm not cheap. I'm broke. I would buy new books and go to the movies. I could afford getting the tattoo I have wanted for a decade now and a piercing. It would make me less concerned and therefore probably more fun to hang out with. I would be more spontaneous again if my first thought could be, cool, let's do it. Not, oh, cool. How much would that cost? Well, have fun, guys. I'm happy for you. Enjoy. I'll see you another time. I would get healthier because I could buy quality food and spend money on fruits just for snacking in between. And I would buy a dresser. Maybe a bike so I don't have to walk all the time, or a monthly ticket for public transport. Incredible. Oh, I could go to the hairdresser. It's been a while. And I'd buy some cutlery and plates and stuff. Oh hell, yeah, I'd buy a bin. And curtains. I know why I avoid thinking of the things I'd like. I need to stop before the list gets out of hand. It's kind of sad. Oh well, as long as the kiddo is fine, things will get better one day. Story 27. People have been shocked by my answer, but I would probably just work 2 to 3 times a week on a casual basis and be a lot more relaxed at work. People saying they would drop off the map are the ones, in my opinion, that would lose it all trying to fulfill a purpose. And history proves this. My behavior probably wouldn't change outside of taking a few months at first to enjoy the financial freedom, purchase my first home, look into investments, focus on building relationships, and find a new and enjoyable workplace. Also, I would set up funds for select family members. People talk about friends and family being vacuums during windfalls, but that's usually because there is no plan in place. I wouldn't give any money to friends outside of absolute emergency aid. Family would most likely be future children having funds set up so when they're 20 or 30 years old, they'll have $200,000 to $300,000 with a $50,000 initial investment as support. Story 28. I'm a watch collector and hobbyist, likely an addict. I think they would notice if I suddenly started coming to work with a sleeve made of 25 grand Seiko, Omega, a Lang & Son, and Shin watches. At that point, why wear just one? There are not nearly enough days in a lifetime for the number I would end up owning. Story 29. I'd have some new clothes that actually fit properly. No more wearing 12-year-old t-shirts. Been a long-time dream to buy some decent clothes and have them tailored. Story 30. My family and I are pretty sure this happened to my grandparents, and they went overseas to Alaska, Canada, and New York. They absolutely deserved it, but I believe it wasn't an enormous win, just enough for them to have a once-in-a-lifetime holiday. Story 31. I was joking about this today. Full-service lawn care. I would love to have a great yard, both front and back, perfectly landscaped, etc. I just don't have the time and energy. Story 32. My move to Switzerland would come a year earlier than planned, and I would be in a normal two-bedroom apartment in the city center instead of a tiny studio apartment. I would also take a vacation this year, which I told many people I wouldn't take for 2 years. They would notice I am getting my hair done every 6 weeks and my nails done every 3 weeks, instead of having to wait until they are really grown out to get them done again.